everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are live streaming or seeing from. Thanks so much for being here. And I really mean that because I think that throughout the last week, all of us has been hearing a lot of frustration, a lot of protests about how action on adaptation and loss and damage is moving really slow. However, I just came from the first meeting for the presidency, which was on frontline communities, and I realized that we can still win this race. You can still do this, but it really depends on how fast can we mobilize funding and resources for adaptation action led by local groups on the ground and by local governments, which isn't getting there fast enough. I also realized that we really need to make sure that we break through to some negotiation items, particularly around how to better operationalize Santiago network for loss and damage, as well as how to better support countries to develop national adaptation plans and communications. This includes support from finance and resources, but we must be careful with climate finance. We really want to advocate for more climate finance be given in the forms of grants and not simply in the forms of loan. Since economic equity is really important for the adaptive capacity of countries, and that has been highlighted in reports by the IPCC as well. More last but not least, we want all countries and ministers to consider that when they're thinking about vulnerability to climate adaptation and to loss and damage, they might look at communities as diverse members in which some groups are more affected by the impacts of climate change than others, from women and girls to disabled people to the elderly through young people. That means that any adaptation plans must be responsive to these differences around social marginalization and discrimination, and they must consider this. And also, at the same time, we know that nature has been a really big theme in this COP. And so we really hope that when countries and ministers across all departments are planning for development and energy infrastructure plans, they consider how those might affect nature and in turn might lead to less adaptive capacity across their own countries. So please do keep that in mind when you take back to your countries and try to take all these words we are speaking here to plan some action happening on the ground. Thank you so much.